City Lights on Location continues with The Empire Strikes Back and Mr. Billy Dee Williams. What do you think of that?
You got me going.
How'd I get you going? I just used your name.
You're a very funny man. You're very quick. You're very quick. You're unbelievably quick.
Why are you pretending I'm the first Canadian you've met, Billy Dee?
No, you're not the first, no.
Shall we talk about the golden days of CBC television drama?
Oh, yeah.
Your role opposite Marilyn Lightstone? Was it Slow Dance on Killing Ground?
Slow Dance on the Killing Ground, yeah. And then John Vernon, Jack Creeley. What's her name? I can't remember her name. She's a wonderful actress.
There are so many. We'll think of it as we go along.
Okay.
But tell me something.
Yes.
How, after your tremendous success on Broadway, In a Taste of Honey, with Angela Lansbury, The Cool World, did you find yourself in Toronto, Canada, doing CBC television drama?
It was very interesting. When I think, as I recall, I think it was, at the time, I think Eleanor Kilgallen.
Casting agent.
Yeah, the casting agent. She sent me up there for the first time, and because of the success of a play that I did with Creeley, they would always call me to come up. They would always ask me to come up and do plays every year. And for 5 straight years, I went up and did plays, which I really thoroughly enjoyed, and I love the people in Toronto.
Carrie Fisher, one of your co-stars in Empire, said that she spent so much time around Dan Aykroyd and the people on Saturday Night Live, she found herself saying, "Eh?" Did you come home to New York after Canada saying, "Eh?"
No.
No?
No.
Let me ask you something about your work and career. I wish you'd tense up. When you had the success on Broadway and you did the early film work,
Yeah.
you disappeared for a while, and one of your explanations was that you felt a hostility creeping into you. You said it was a time when I became hostile. Why?
Well, I think when you're very young and you're confronted with an awful lot of things, things keep coming at you, it's very difficult to deal with those things, if you're not prepared for it. And at that time, a lot of wonderful things were happening in my life. I mean, they even voted me one of the most promising young men of Manhattan. I think it was Holiday Magazine. And then all of a sudden, everything went this way. And I didn't understand. And, of course, you suddenly realize more and more that you're different because you're not part of the European Western value system. And it becomes rather frustrating and difficult for you. So I think that contributed to a kind of hostility that was creeping into my brain, my heart, my system. And at some point or another, because I was always somehow receptive, in some peculiar way, I was always receptive to love. Even love came for 5 minutes. It somehow pulled me over in some interesting way. And I met somebody who was quite instrumental in giving me my rebirth, so to speak. And that's when I embraced Eastern philosophy, European Western philosophy. And I abstained for about a year from everything. Just sort of locked myself
everything?
Well, everything. I mean, from work. I didn't look for work. I just sort of locked myself away and just read books and meditated. And at some point or another, I walked out into the world, and I was able to deal with the world in terms of myself, and myself in terms of the world. I mean, there was a balance there.
But tell me how you dealt with the responsibility or the burden of finding yourself after a series of terrifically successful films, like Lady Sings the Blues, Mahogany, of being called in the entertainment industry the Black Clark Gable.
Well, I think, well, certainly there's a balance in my life now, I think, and it's been there for a long time. And I think when I'm confronted with things like that, I'm able to put a proper perspective on it. I think it's a compliment to be called, I guess, the Black Clark Gable. I mean, I'd like to leave it alone now at this point, but it's certainly a compliment. I think people are simply saying that, there's a presence there that is reminiscent of that kind of feeling. Which is
I think what's revealing about you is that you are the man who is the actor who was called the Black Clark Gable, who found himself on a Broadway stage playing Dr. Martin Luther King and I had a dream. I suppose many other men who hadn't taken a year off to find themselves, meditate, and find out what love meant might have said, okay, Swifty Lazar and Sue Mengers, if I'm the black Clark Gable, let's remake the following films.
We tried that. It didn't quite work out that way.
Name a film that you tried to do that
Well,
with.
we went to I think MGM, and we were looking to pull out some old films by Gable that Gable did in those years, you know. But it's very difficult, as I said before, when you're a part of the whole European Western point of view. You know, here you all of a sudden you're like an alien being. All of a sudden you're asking to be a part of the whole system, the whole feeling.
What does one ask for when one decides to be an actor?
To be a part of it, to be a part of the whole thing. It's very difficult. I mean, you have to find ways to make people comfortable. You have to find ways to relax people. You have to say to people, look, it's okay. There's no threat. You have to raise the consciousness of people. That's a very difficult thing to do.
Were you trying to do that with your painting?
I'm trying to do that with my painting. I'm trying to do it in my work. You know, that's why I try to choose roles that are devoid of all of the usual cliche, stereotype, issues.
Are you telling us that Lando in The Empire Strikes Back is devoid of those things?
Yeah, he's not part of that. He's beyond that.
Who is
He transcends
Lando?
that. Lando is a charming, cavalier, roguish kind of character, you know, who's out there. I mean, Lando Calrissian, the name alone is really fantastic. I mean, I fell in love with the name.
It's either an Italian suit or a very smooth name.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to do with the name?
No,
Was it there?
No,
it existed?
No, they created that name, and I just thought it was great. Yeah.
Why did you say yes to the role, beyond the adventure and romance of it?
Well, first of all, I wanted to work with Kirshner, because I like Kirshner, I like his work, you know, and I've always liked his work. And I wanted to work with George Lucas and that whole bunch, you know, because they're all associated with, he's associated with people like Coppola, Spielberg, and I regard them as a kind of a new breed of filmmaker. They're a future breed to me, and they interest me, and I like the feeling, and I wanted to be a part of that kind of a feeling, you know. And some instinct said, yeah, go with that one. Because I was about to do something else, actually. I was going to do a remake of Nightmare Alley, which is also an interesting film, but I decided to do this one instead.
When you act with fellow performing artists like Henry Fonda and Moses Gunn,
Yeah.
do you walk away with something? Is it reciprocal for you? What did
Oh.
Henry Fonda give you as an actor that you could share with Harrison Ford or Mark Hamill?
Well, Fonda is somebody I've always liked as an actor, because he was always expressing something about the human dilemma. And that always appeals to me. That's why I liked Muni, you know. That's why I liked working with Muni. I was a part of a tribute to Fonda at the AFI, and I wrote a whole speech for him, you know. But he never stops. I mean, I admire people like that. I admire a man who's 74 years old and he's going to drop dead on the stage, you know. I mean, that's where he's going. I admire people like an Olivier, who's got a great, tremendous will to live and to experience and to go on.
All right. I thank you for this dialogue. I hope you don't wait much longer to come back to Canada and say hello to all of your friends like Jack Creeley and the others.
I gotta come up. I'd love to come up there. I am gonna come up there.
All right. Can we continue this dialogue when you get there?
Absolutely.
To date.
Absolutely.
See you then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.